What if I told you there's a way to study more effectively? Not by putting in more hours, but by using a system that's actually backed by science. Well, today we're going to crack that code, using insights from top Cambridge students and some game-changing research by Professor Dunlosky.
So, let me ask you this. What if your favorite study habits, the ones that feel like you're getting a ton done, are actually scientifically some of the worst ways to learn? It's a pretty wild idea, right? But that's exactly what we're going to get into.
Okay, let's get real. Rereading chapters over and over, highlighting almost every single sentence, making summaries with the textbook sitting wide open right next to you. Does that sound familiar? Well, the science is in, and the consensus is crystal clear. These methods are all low utility. They make us feel productive, sure, but they're basically just comfort rituals. They trick us into thinking we're working hard when we're not actually challenging our brains to learn anything new.
And this all leads to what you could call the great study delusion. See, we spend our entire lives being taught what to learn, facts, dates, formulas, but almost nobody ever teaches us how to learn it effectively. So we just fall back on these easy, passive methods because they feel good. But that's the trap.
This creates what researchers call a dangerous illusion of competence. I mean, take rereading. It's totally passive. Your brain barely breaks a sweat just recognizing text it's already seen. Think of it like this. It's like reading the lyrics to a song you already know by heart. It feels effortless and familiar, but you're not actually making that memory any stronger.
So, what we need here is a total mindset shift. And honestly, if you only take one thing away from this, let it be this. We have to completely reframe what learning actually is. It's not about passively cramming information in.
It's all about actively pulling information out. This is it. This is the single most important, most powerful technique there is. It's called active recall, or retrieval practice.
And this right here, this shows you exactly what I'm talking about. Passive review is lazy and frankly ineffective, but active recall, that's a workout. That struggle, that feeling when you're trying to remember an answer and it's right on the tip of your tongue, that's not you failing. No way. That is the exact moment learning is happening. That's your brain building stronger connections.
Okay, so if active recall is our goal, how do we build a whole system around it? Well, it all starts with a simple 3-step framework. And step 1 is the absolute non-negotiable foundation. You have to truly understand the material first. I mean, trying to memorize stuff you don't even get, that's like trying to build a house on quicksand. It's just going to collapse.
But let's be honest, it's easy to trick ourselves into thinking we understand something when we really don't. So, how do you know for sure? The ultimate test, the best tool for the job, is the Feynman Technique. It's named after the Nobel Prize-winning physicist, Richard Feynman, who is famously known as the Great Explainer.
The process is so simple, but it is brutally effective. Here's how it works. 1. Pick a concept. 2. Try to explain it out loud in super simple terms, like you're talking to a kid. Now, the moment you get stuck or you have to use complicated jargon, bam, you've just found a gap in your knowledge. That's step 3. Then you just go back to your notes, fill in that gap, and try to simplify your explanation again. The rule is simple. If you can't explain it simply, you don't really get it yet.
All right, so once you have that solid foundation of understanding, you run into the next big problem, actually remembering it all. And this brings us to a universal enemy of every student out there, the forgetting curve.
We've all been there, right? You spend hours learning something and then poof, it's gone. Why does knowledge just seem to leak out of our heads? It might feel random, but it's actually incredibly predictable.
This is the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. And what it shows is that our memory for new information basically drops off a cliff. You could learn something new today, and without doing anything about it, you'll probably forget half of it by tomorrow, and almost all of it in a week. Your brain isn't broken, it's just being efficient, clearing out information it thinks you don't need anymore.
So what's the solution? How do we fight this? We have to strategically interrupt that forgetting process. And the best, scientifically proven way to do that is with something called spaced repetition. Instead of cramming all at once, you quiz yourself on information at longer and longer intervals, maybe after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week. Every time you successfully recall it, you hit the reset button on that curve and lock the memory in for the long haul.
Now, there are 2 fantastic ways to do this. You can go low-tech and use a manual system, like a retrospective timetable, where you just track what you studied and when you need to review it, or you can use automated software like the flashcard app Anki. Honestly, Anki is the gold standard because its algorithm does all the hard work for you.
It literally schedules and shows you the exact piece of information you're about to forget. It's the perfect combination of active recall and spaced repetition.
So now we have the best techniques in our toolkit, but you know what? The best strategy in the world is totally useless if you don't actually do it. And that brings us to our final step, execution and focus. This is about tackling the real-world enemy of distraction, and it's where we learn that discipline always beats motivation.
Look, you can't just wait around until you feel like studying. That feeling might never come. Discipline is a muscle you have to build, and its number one enemy, you guessed it, is your phone. The trick is to increase the friction, make it harder to get to. Put it in another room, uninstall the apps that suck you in, and here is an incredible hack. Set your screen to grayscale. All those bright colors are what make apps so addictive. Without them, your phone suddenly becomes way less interesting.
Using structured breaks can also be a game changer. You've probably heard of the Pomodoro technique. You work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. It's a fantastic tool for getting through boring tasks. But remember, it's just a tool, not the boss of you. If you find yourself in that amazing state of deep focus, in the zone, for the love of God, ignore the timer. The last thing you want to do is break that concentration.
So when you put this all together, you realize the real secret to learning has nothing to do with studying for more hours. It's about a massive mindset shift. It's about systematically trading in our comfortable, easy, passive habits for ones that are active and, yes, a little bit difficult.
And this right here, this is the entire system in a nutshell. It starts with getting a big picture view of the subject. Then, you make sure you truly understand it using something like the Feynman Technique. Then, instead of just making notes, your main job is to generate questions. And finally, you use those questions to constantly retrieve and repeat that information using spaced repetition. This is your evidence-based roadmap to learning.
And look, if there is just one idea that you walk away with today, let it be this. Learning is supposed to feel hard. That feeling of effort, of struggle, that's not a sign you're failing. That is the signal that your brain is working, that it's building new connections. When learning feels easy, that's often a sign that it's not actually working.
So that leaves us with one final thought, one question for you. Take a good hard look at how you study. Is it comfortable, or is it actually working? Because choosing to embrace that effort, that's where the real growth happens.